Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Umineko. It's Lorelei, and I hope that you've all been well. The last time we left off, Battler was uncovered to have a sin of sorts, and Beatrice forcibly ended the game. But before we continue, I'd like to ask that if you enjoy my content and what I do, please consider giving this video a like, or a comment, or subscribing. It really helps a lot. And without further ado, let's just get right into today's episode. Oh no. The world 12 years later, journey's endpoint. Oh no. Why? Why did it end like that? No. Well, at least we get more Ange. Why? I quite like this music actually. Amakusa turned the radio off. The world of cheery sounds was immediately swallowed up by the roar of the sea and blotted out by the ocean's gray.
見えるかい? あの辺が当時の船着き場だ。
The boat captain pointed, but I couldn't really recall how it looked 12 years ago. I had believed that my memories of back then would come flooding back into my mind, but no memories were coming back to me at all. After the incident, the island was sealed off and left to the wild. Probably that's understandable, I had to tell myself, to stop myself from feeling somehow sad and hurt. But I at least remember one thing. Could say that it would probably be the same anywhere on the sea, but at least this one thing I remember. The cries of the seagulls. I do remember those. I almost never went to the ocean when I was young. So to me, everything that symbolized the ocean meant Rokkenjima and my family getting together. In short, it was a symbol for the happiness of going out with my family. However, at this point in time, it even seems doubtful whether that was happiness at all. In my younger days, the trip had felt like a relaxed family vacation, but considering my parents' situation at the time, it was surely a very difficult trip to handle, the distribution of the inheritance filling the place with the smell of flaring tempers and fuses about to blow. I can remember giggling all over the place, completely ignorant of my parents' feelings.
Rokkenjima ですかい。すべての始まりで、すべての旅の終着駅ってわけだ。
Amakusa tried too hard in an attempt to speak for my innermost feelings. I was wondering, why is he speaking like that? The boat slowly rounded the island. As the angle changed, I hoped that my memories of the island silhouette at the time might come back just a little. But in the end, even as the inlet was completely hidden by the cliffs, I wasn't able to remember anything.
船長、さっきのもう一つの船着き場の話を聞かせてください。
六軒島には船着き場は一つしかないことになっとる。だがそれは表向きだ。
島裏のもう一つの隠された船着き場。
More information coming out.
六軒島そのものね。誰も知らない二つ目のもう一つの顔がある。
六軒島は石呂宮家の領有する島だ。だが金蔵さん個人が所有する島というもう一つの顔がある。
一つの島、二つの船着き場、二つの屋敷ですかい。愛人を囲うためだけに随分と金をかけたもんだ。
もう一つの船着き場のことを知る人間は
限られとる。金蔵さん、執事の源次さん、わしら船の関係者。高齢の使用人がほんの数人だ。
I would say Kumasawa probably knew.
南條診療所の先代先生も熊沢のばあさんも知っとった。数えりゃ結構いるような気がするが、とにかく知っている人間はわずかだった。
そのもう一つの屋敷について教えてください。
クワドリアンちゅう名前のお屋敷があるとだけは聞かされとった。わしは船を離れることを許されんかったから、一度も見たことはないが。
I wonder if Kuadorian is near the harbor. I mean, it would make a lot of sense so that no one has to travel very far from it and give away its location.
船着き場からは見えないくらいに遠いということですかい？
わからん。ただ隠し屋敷だからな。外からは見えん場所に建ててあったろうな。とにかくクワドリアンについてはあの島の最高の秘密だった。
クワドリアンにベアトリーチェが住まわされていた、あるいは幽閉されていたという説がありますが、船長はどう考えますか？
わしはクワドリアンへの雑貨も運んでおった。その中に女しか使わんような、それも高級なもんが含まれることも多かった。わしもその説を確信しとる。
では船長はベアトリーチェって女を直接見たことはないわけですかい？
ない。20年近く出入りをしたが、一度も見たことはない。
I wonder still, even if Beatrice is real or not, and it's still so hard to say whether she is real. I mean, Kinzo could just be delirious and crazy and delivering, stuff to a dead woman or something.
20年？ひゅー。ってことは最低でも年齢プラス20ってわけだ。こりゃマドモアゼルは期待できねえな。
だがクワドリアンへの出入りはある日を境にぷっつりとなくなっちまった。今からだいたい30年前だから昭和43年頃だったと思う。
1968.
ぷっつりと突然？
食料やゴミなどの運搬往来でわしらは決められた日程で裏に行っとった。ああ、裏っちゅうのはクワドリアン側の船着き場のことだ。
わかります。それで？
ある日源氏さんから急な連絡があった。別の指示があるまで裏には行かなくていいって言うんだ。
Suspicious.
別の指示とは？
特にはなかった。早い話がある日突然裏には今後定期便はいらない、食料も届けなくていいと言われたわけだ。わしは最初クビにされたのかと思ったよ。だがすぐに気づいた。それにクワドリアンのことを知る使用人たちの様子からもなんとなく察しがついた。
ベアトリーチェが死んで食料を届ける必要も世話人を送る必要もなくなった。
わしはそう考えとる。それっきり裏へ船を出せという指示は受けてない。しかし裏については死ぬまで何も喋るなと。その後源氏さんが直接わしのところへ来てえらく強く念を押した。
Genji, oh Genji, so suspicious. But, well, he is Kinzo's like right-hand man or something.
その20年間も放置されていた隠し屋敷にどうしてエヴァおばさんが？
On that day 12 years ago, Ushinomiya Eva somehow escaped harm alone in a hidden mansion 2 kilometers away from the regular mansion. Why was she in a hidden mansion that had been forgotten for 20 years?
ワイドショーで見たよ。わしにも何が何だかさっぱりわからん。エヴァさんを裏へ案内したことは一度もない。どうやってクワドリアンを知りたどり着いたのか。
裏のクワドリアンに陸路で行くことは不可能だったのかしら。
もしも話通りに未開の密林だとしたら、おめかしした奥様風情に踏破できるもんじゃありませんぜ。
But Eva is seriously quite strong.
じゃあ回路？モーターボートみたいなものがあったとか？
まさかあの二晩の台風はそりゃひどいもんだった。船なんぞ使えるわけもない。
You know, if I'm thinking about solving this, then there's a lot of things that we need to consider, right? The typhoon is something that we can consider. As to how to approach this mystery, I think I'm getting a clear idea. I say that like every episode, but it's also true. And I think it'll be a lot of fun to try and solve this mystery by the end of episode 4. So join me if you like on Twitch.
じゃあ屋敷とクワドリアンを直通する、例えば 地下通路のようなものがあったとか。愛人の家へ出入りするのに毎回船の用立てが必要なんて面倒でしょ。
And this underground passage is exactly what we saw in that fight against the Goathead and Kraus.
全長 2km の六軒島の対角線上に存在する屋敷をつなぐためにそんだけの長い地下トンネルを。
Okay, wait. They are on opposite ends of the island, 2 kilometers wide. I'm gonna take note of this.
とバカにしてえところだが、愛人のために隠し屋敷まで作っちまう大富豪だ。それも否定できんところですな。どうなんですか船長。
わしは海の人間だ。穴のことはわからん。だが硫黄島で旧日本軍は25キロのトンネルを掘ってみせたぞ。
25 kilometer tunnel?
あの金蔵さんなら2キロくらい掘ってみせてもわしは何も驚かん。
やっぱりおかしな島ね。私たちはこの島のことを未だ誰一人何も知らない。
It's an island with so many secrets. The boat reached the shore. There will be a short walk to reach the mansion.
わしはここで待っている。屋敷は向こうだ。当時の道が残っているだろうが、草木で覆われてしまってるはずだ。迷わんように気をつけてな。
ほんじゃ行きましょうかね。
ありがとう、天草。あんたもここで待ってて。
ま、そう言い出すんじゃないかと思ってましたぜ。
届け物をするだけよ。あなたが一緒だと向こうが迷惑するの。あんたの毒素強そうだから。
Anti-magic toxin?
毒素はて。
すぐに戻るわ。今日の本命はクワドリアンの方だもの。届け物をしたらすぐに戻ってくるわ。
And she put on her knapsack and grabbed the flowers she was planning to offer.
察してやれ若いの。行ってこいお嬢ちゃん。あんたの家族が待っている。
I had never been on a road like this, but I had no trouble finding my way. I remember this spiraling walk back up to Rokkenjima, the mansion. If I walked straight ahead, it would probably guide me to the final destination for everything. The vegetation certainly was incredible, and you would lose track of the path if you were careless enough to let your attention drift. But the road that was left was much better than I had imagined. Still, that didn't change the fact that it was a bad road. Contrary to the distance shown on the map, I was forced to walk a long way. The forest was deep and dark. At the time, I had been threatened into staying away from the forest because a witch lived there. Of course, that fear is gone now, but I feel it. Other people may not be able to, but I can feel the presence like an aura. The golden witch, Beatrice. Massive, oddly shaped rocks scattered here and there, overgrown trees and ivy, the voices of birds and bugs. Yeah, I can feel it. I can feel that the witch is here. Ahead, an ivy-covered construction site fence and a warning sign stood. No entry, Tokyo Metropolis. That was written on it. Oh, right. When you think Tokyo, you tend to think of a city. But address-wise, even Rokkenjima is a rightful part of Tokyo Metropolis. Apologizing to the sign for my mistaken impression, I climbed over the fence. When I made it up the steep slope beyond that, my field of vision rapidly expanded, and a fresh sea breeze blew through my hair. It was like the top of a little hill. Below me was a vast view of the island. I could only see desolated forest and rocky crags spread out below me. But somehow, I realized that the mansion was probably somewhere around there. The steep downward slope beyond this hill had probably been caused by landslides from 12 years of wind and rain. It had become a slant filled with crags that you might even call gentle cliffs. And though it would be easy to tumble down, it looked like climbing back would be pretty difficult. It seemed that proceeding any further would be impossible. If I continued any further, I wouldn't be able to return. In other words, this is the border between 1986 and 1998. That day and today. And this world and the other.
ここがこの旅の終着点みたいね。
As a strong wind blew Mammon and Sakutaro's hair, they looked down from the hilltop.
ここからじゃさっぱりわからないわ。お屋敷はどこ？もっと近づきましょうよ。無理だよ。戻ってこれなくなっちゃうよ。
We won't be able to come back. Huh. He's right. This is 1998, and I am the Ushinomiya Enji who had been left all alone. At first, it was a journey to die, but not anymore. It has become a journey to accomplish something.
だからごめんね、二人とも。あの日の私なら、何も戸惑わずにこの崖を降りるだろうけれど。
ビルの屋上から飛び降りた後ろ宮エンジェが情けない。
ごめんね。
ここでも同じだよ。あの日の風が感じられるから。こんな風だったっけ？もうすぐ来てくれるよ、みんな。
Sakutaro said it as though it was completely natural. And I believed it. Mom, Dad, Oni-chan, all of my relatives and those fun servants. And Maria Ne-chan.
私よ。エンジよ。私は帰ってきたわ。
When I started my final journey to expose a past of 12 years ago, its goal had been abstract and I hadn't understood. But now I have no doubts. This journey was induced by all kinds of thoughts and fates over 12 years. A journey to end things for me, Ushinomiya Enji. And a journey to end things as the final witch of Mariage Sorcier. I came here as the final daughter of the Ushinomiya family. And as the final witch.
お父さん、お母さん、お兄ちゃん、ごめんね。先にマリアお姉ちゃんとの挨拶をさせてね。
A strong gust of wind from behind urged me on. That gust took my soul out from inside my body to the vast forest beneath me. And though I couldn't see it from where I stood, I believed that it would fly me to the dimension on that day. To where everyone was, to where Maria Ne-chan was. And so, even though my body was on the top of the hill, the strong wind blowing against me, my soul was now certainly dancing through that sky. The vast, vast sky of Rokkenjima. Below me was the green of many trees. But I can tell. I can comprehend the presence of my family and relatives and all the servants. And Maria Ne-chan, too. I could even comprehend Maria Ne-chan as a witch. It was vast, more vast than any space I had imagined up until now. Imagine, huh?
マリアお姉ちゃん、聞こえる？聞いて。
And she shouted to the Maria of that day that she had been through a long journey and that she had learned just how much she had wounded Maria on that day when she was young. Having understood magic, I now understand everything about the world Maria wanted to show me. It is so warm and overflowing with kindness and happiness. She wanted to become even happier by sharing that world, but I had trampled it.
だから私、今こそ全部理解したの。魔法を理解した。私たちの魔法はきっと、とてもささやかで 身近に溢れてる。でもそれは誰の目にも見えるものではないのよ。魔法とは、ええ、はっきり言えるわ。
Say it. Without love, it cannot be seen. I'm sorry, Anee-chan. I've already been excommunicated from the Witches' Alliance, but after all this time, I now understand how wonderful it is. And I know that after that day I wounded you, Mariage Sorcier was transfigured into something different from what you truly desired. Back in those days, even magic that allowed you to vent your anger by cursing people was probably important to you. Your environment was unhappy enough for you to be allowed that.
でももうそんな悲しい日々は終わったよ。だからお姉ちゃんの魔女同盟を元の優しいマリアージュ・ソルシエルに。
The grimoire was in my hands without me realizing it. The strong winds were rapidly blowing its pages one after another. It had been a kind world at first. What to do to create magic so that candy rains from the sky? What to do to create magic so that tomorrow's dinner becomes cream croquettes? What to do to create magic so that tomorrow's weather is good when you go out and you have a fun day? New magics of happiness were created, one after another, coloring her world with kindness. Those days were flipped through one after another, and the days and months began to flash by like memories. The pages of drawings that were colorful gradually changed into pages colored only with black ink. Eerie magic circles and demon summonings. Evil magic for harming people. What to do to create magic so that the class bully catches a cold? What to do to create magic so that you know who in class gets seriously injured and dies? What to do to create magic so that a bus with all the bullies on it falls off a cliff? Malicious magics were created one after another, filling the pages and her heart.
私がお姉ちゃんを傷つけたからマリアージュ・ソルシエルはこんなになってしまった。お姉ちゃんは黒き邪悪な魔女じゃない。白き無垢で無邪気な優しい魔女だったのよ。私が元に戻してあげる。元のみんなを幸せにする魔法を世界中に振りまいていたマリアお姉ちゃんに戻してあげる。そのために私はここへ来た。運命に導かれてきた。お姉ちゃん、聞こえてる？その姿を私の前に見せて。
That voice rode an even stronger when I was sent 12 years into the past. Then, the wind gradually ceased and silence fell. Crunch, crunch. I could hear the sound of gravel being stepped on. I heard those footsteps and was surprised at that miracle. Without a doubt, those footsteps were Maria One-chan's.
マリアお姉ちゃん。
かすみ
Oh
よ、
my god. God.
ようやく見つけたわよ。エンジェちゃん。
Before I knew it, Aunt Kasumi and her black suits, a total of 7 people who didn't resemble Maria One-chan in the slightest, were standing there surrounding me. And it felt like my voice had been just about to reach Maria One-chan too. Because of these guys' toxin, the magic got interrupted. Angie clicked her tongue at that, but Kasumi probably didn't hear it that way.
そのお花は亡くなった家族への？偉いわ。それ投げるんでしょ？いいわよ。それまで待ってあげる。
Before what? Angie could more or less guess. The way the black suits had their hands unnaturally stuck in their pockets made me realize that they were obviously in possession of handguns. This is a deserted island. There could be no more convenient place to dispose of someone. I have absolutely no interest in the family matters of the Sumadera family. But if I die, all of that wealth will roll right into the Sumadera family coffers. Unlike me, they probably have a great deal of interest in it. Of course, the Ushinomiya group had a stake in this too. It seems that if the massive amounts of stocks I own suddenly go to the Sumaderas, it'll be pretty bad for the Ushinomiya group as well. And so they've apparently gotten themselves embroiled in a secret feud over me. That's probably why President Okonogi gave me Amakusa as a guard. Having Amakusa wait on a boat was a regretful mistake.
おばさん、いつからここで待ち伏せを？
早朝からよ。おかげですっかり待ちくたびれちゃったわ。何しろ喫茶店もお化粧室もないからね。
トイレもないから、お上品に木陰で用を済ませていたわけね。
仮にもスマデラ家の血を半分引いてる淑女が、そんな汚らわしい言葉を使うんじゃないわ。やっぱりスマデラ切り絵の子ね。気品のかけらもありゃしない。
He grabbed me by the hair and forced my face up to hers, and then spat in it. My words are filthy, but her spit's not to be outdone.
おばさんが私のことを話すと、いつも母さんのことばかり。私、そんなにも母さんに似てますか？
ええ、似ているわ。その生意気そうな目つき。鼻も口もそっくりよ。自由奔放で無責任。歴史と伝統あるスマデラ家の重みなど何も考えず、自分勝手に家を飛び出したわ。おかげで、私の人生はずっとその尻拭い。
まさにあんたの人生、クソまみれね。
That's right, tell her off. I was slapped on the cheek, my ear took a heavy hit, and for an instant my head rang. She pulled me around by the hair and threw me onto the ground. And without a moment's pause, she kicked the ground, covering me in sand.
ああ、本当に姉さんに似てきたわ。その目つき。そのどこか小馬鹿にした目つきよ。
He's just projecting.
はあ、思い出すわ、いろいろと。
哀れな人ね。きっと幼い頃から何かにつけて母さんに比較されて蔑まされてきたんでしょうに。そしてあんたは一生その惨めさから解放されやしないわ。
お前みたいな小娘にはわからないわよ。あんたのお母さんはね、何もかもを投げ出してスマデラ家を逃げ出した負け犬なのよ。その負け犬のせいで私がどれほど迷惑した。
あんたの迷惑なんか私の知ったこっちゃないわ。私の生まれる前の話をされても困るわよ。あんたの人生はいつ始まるの？始まりゃしないわ。いつまでもいつまでも永久に死んだ母さんに嘲笑われ続け、そのまま死ぬのよ。というか死ねばなんで生きてるの？
この口の減らないガキが。あんたたちちょいとお茶をしてやりなさいな。
I think this is the first time we see her with her eyes open. It may not be, but is that the same eye color that Kiria has? I don't know.
お任せを。口の利き方も知らねえクソガキが少し勉強させてやるぜ。
The black suits dashed up to me, violently grabbed me by the collar, and dragged me down.
私が一服終えるまでに適当に。可愛いメイにちょいと身の程を教えてあげなさい。
Sumadera Kasumi. She was a pitiable person, to think of it. To the outside world, the women of the Sumadera family were trained to be in a position to support and defer the men in the prominent positions. But in actuality, strong leadership was demanded of them so that they could manage all of the people under them. The role demanded of them was that of a female commander. Taking charge of the Sumadera family with all its proud history required an extraordinary level of commanding presence. It was an unimaginably heavy responsibility. Normally, this would have been demanded of Kirie. Kirie had undergone that harsh training, and Kasumi, as the younger sister, should have been able to just take it easy. That also kind of explains why Kirie is, such an amazing woman, I guess. No, in fact, she had lived like a lazy, selfish, and affluent princess, sneering at Kirie, who had been given the heavy responsibility. However, Kirie was suddenly disinherited. She had refused the fiancé her parents had arranged and had gotten pregnant by her lover, Ushiromiya Rudolph. From the Sumadera's family's perspective, even though the Ushiromiya family held a vast fortune, it was a family which had already collapsed, a family not in their league. And to become not even a legal wife, but a lover to the second son of that family. Normally, no one would be shown mercy for something so dishonorable, not even a daughter of the main family. They would wrap her up in a mat, stand a pole on end, and throw her either into the Pacific Ocean if the pole fell to the right, or the Sea of Japan if it fell to the left. But Kirie's punishment was nothing but disinheritance, an unbelievably lenient decision. After that, the Sumadera family began receiving preferential treatment from a section of the Ushiromiya group. Oh, I see, smart Kirie. But also thinking about it now, Kirie's haircut is probably also maybe I'm reaching here, an act of defiance against the Sumadera family, who seems to want their women to be traditionally feminine and defer to men. But Kirie is none of that. She is an amazing woman. There must have been some kind of backroom deal. In other words, Kirie took advantage of the Ushiromiya's family's financial support to leave the Sumadera family openly. Kasumi watched it happen in shock. No, she even disparaged her dishonorable sister as a loser. But eventually, she learned that the heavy responsibilities Kirie had borne would be passed on to her. And then, for the first time, she realized that she had been outwitted. Not like she had ever outwitted Kirie, to be honest.
あんたの母親のせいで私の人生はめちゃめちゃにされたわ。いいえ、一度殺されたと言ってもいい。あの日に私は一度殺されて地獄のような日々に突き落とされたのよ。
それまで人生舐めてきたツケじゃない。
口の減らねえ小娘だぜ。うら！
Black suit punched me in the gut and I doubled over. But I was quickly grabbed by the collar and made to stand up again. As she continued to cold-heartedly look down upon Enji, Kasumi blew out smoke. The hard days after Kirie left were floating through her mind. Until then, she had been allowed to be simply a rich young lady, unrestrained and unaffected. Only Kirie, the older sister, had been strictly trained, and she, the younger sister, had been able to live as nothing more than a princess. Then suddenly, everything was turned over to such a degree that her life tumbled and crashed.
私の人生も生活も生き方も何もかもを奪われたわ。事情を知らない親類からは姉さんの不名誉を理由にどれだけ蔑まれたことか。呪ったわ。あなたのお母さんを血を吐くほどに呪ったわよ。
そりゃ嬉しいわ。これからもよろしく。
A kick landed in Angie's side as she lay prostrate on the ground. Angie didn't stand up again, so she continued to lie there like a caterpillar, getting kicked every time she spoke up.
姉さんを後ろ宮グループのパーティーで見かけたわ。あいつ旦那と一緒でとても幸せそうに。 笑ってやがったわ。
And I'm just thinking, but when the Ushinomiya group come to fruition, appeared, it's now owned by Okonogi, but it was previously owned by Eva, and before that, was it owned by Kinzo? I don't know the details.
私に全部押し付けて自分だけ幸せに。
だから何？私に八つ当たりするとどうあんたが幸せになるってわけ？私に八つ当たりすると時間が巻き戻って歴史が変わったりしてくれるわけ。
Exactly.
あんた、さっき言ったわね。私の人生はいつ始まるのって、いくら恨んでも八つ当たりしても時間を巻き戻すことなんてできない。じゃあ私は死ぬまでこうして死んでもなお姉さんを恨み続けて？冗談じゃないわ。いつまで私は姉さんの亡霊に苛まれてなきゃならないのよ。だから考えたのよ。これを成し遂げたら全ての恨みを忘れてやり直せるってね。
Angie was about to respond to this with another bitter comment, but stopped. Because she would be kicked again if she responded. Even if Kasumi didn't say any more, it wasn't difficult to imagine what she meant. Kasumi was thinking of bringing an end to her hatred of Kirie by taking revenge against her daughter, Angie. Talk about pushing your problems on other people.
ほら、立ちなさいよ。そんなにこの島が大好きならしっかり深く埋めてあげるわよ。その若さで死にたくないでしょ。母が迷惑をかけてすみませんでしたとか言ってみたくはならない？
Not like she would let Angie off, to be honest.
誰が言うもんか。
エンジ様、ダメ！こいつらを挑発しちゃダメです。ここは表向きだけでも調子を合わせて時間を稼ぐべきです。
くだらないプライドは燃えないゴミの火に出しとけってよく言うわね。
天草さんは天草さんが来てくれればきっと。ダメ、あいつの姿は見えないわ。エンジ様のバカ、どうして天草を置いてきたんです？
I don't need you to tell me that, Mammon. I'm already right in the middle of regretting it. I walked a long way to get here. The forest was very thick. There's no way that the disturbance here will reach the boat. As Kasumi took her sweet time smoking that single cigarette down to the filter, I was continually laid into by the black suits however they deemed fit. The moment I grabbed my head to protect it, the top of my head was kicked by someone at a bad angle, and my head filled with stars. The feeling of stars flickering in the world twisted with gray was one I knew well. My life was very similar to the one Sumadera Kasumi led, because I was tormented constantly with all kinds of bullying under the guise of education and training to make me a worthy successor to the Ushinomiya family. Yes, having the inside of my head filled with stars like this is a feeling I know well. When being reprimanded for some error in manners I seem to have made, the lecturer always turned to whether I was fitting to be the successor to the Ushinomiya family or not. On and on about the honor of the Ushinomiya family and how important it was. By the time my rant reached that point, I would forget what mistake I was being blamed for in the first place, because Eva did that to her, right? Oh my god, Eva's face is so creepy! It's so creepy. I don't like this. I don't want to look at this anymore. It's so creepy. But I just want to say that it's really a cycle of abuse that people take your anger out on the next person, and the next, and the next, and someone has to end that cycle. And it seems like Angie is planning to end that cycle. in whatever that she's planning to do. But for Eva, for Kasumi, for the others, this is all that they've known. And even if they say that they're fine, they're not okay. There's a lot that can be said about why that they act the way they did, but it's gonna take a long while. And it's better off as like a standalone video, psychoanalyzing them or something. No, actually, it was the same way for Aunt Eva too. After all, sometimes she would ask herself, what was I saying again? But in the end, she wouldn't be able to remember and would say something like,
私が怒っているということは、きっとエンジェが何か悪いことをしたのだろう。なら、その悪いことが問題なのであって、何をしたかなんて今さら思い出せなくても問題ない。
There'd be some ridiculous reasoning like that, and then she would continue punishing me. Yes, Aunt Eva's punishments weren't something that would continue until I learned something, or acknowledged my mistake, or apologized. They would continue until Eva wanted to stop. So even this violence was a bit nostalgic in a way that made me want to vomit. What a horrible sight to open your eyes to. I opened my eyes, and oh look, there's Aunt Eva. Right next to Kasumi, who was smoking his cigarette. I could see Aunt Eva, the two of them looking almost as though they were laughing at me together. Really? Oh god. When I think about it, even Aunt Eva's life might be worthy of sympathy. The responsibilities and pressures of members of the Ushinomiya family, which she had so often mentioned to me, were all things that she herself had suffered. Because people cannot voice insults that they have never been subjected to themselves. Now where have I heard that before? It was probably the same way for Aunt Rosa as well. As the youngest child of the glorious Ushinomiya family, she must have gone through many tough times. So just as Aunt Eva acted towards me, and just as Sumadera Kasumi is acting right now, Aunt Rosa must also have been the same. People push the suffering that they have been made to bear onto other people. Otherwise, they can never escape from it. So on, in eternity and perpetuity, the chain of suffering and sadness never ends. That is the reason Maria Onechan's magic was so incredible. With her magic, she did not have to bear the suffering from Aunt Rosa. That pain was probably pushed onto her. Its weight probably tormented her. But Onechan did not carry that burden on her own shoulders. He exorcised it and filled her world with happiness. So I'm sure that even if Maria Onechan had had children in the future, she would never have pushed the suffering forced down through the generations onto them. The chain of suffering and sadness, which had been inherited by and forced upon each generation for who knows how long, was, by Maria Onechan's magic, broken. There is something very interesting about how abuse and these sort of, well, yeah, just abuse, about how abuse can be remembered by the body even if your mind doesn't. And there's an interesting read by Alice Miller. Forgot which book it was though.
なーに？私に何か文句でもあるの？
In the past, I would have snapped back and cancelled out her hatred with her hatred of my own. No, I cancelled out nothing. The weight of that which had been forced onto her bears down hard on my shoulders as well. After all, even now, I hate her. So, now that I knew of magic, I looked at the human called Ushinomiya Eva again. What I could see through, too, was a sad form of a human, no different from me, who had lost her family, who bore deep wounds into her heart. Unable to withstand the pain of that torn heart, she was doing nothing except howling with a sad voice, like a lion crying in pain, like a child. It turns out Ushiromiya Eva was also a person deserving of compassion. It's true. It's true. She had needed someone to understand the difficulties and pain of her childhood days, and she too, as the only survivor of the Rokkenjima incident, was faced with the inquisitive eyes of all of society, who was publicly slandered, who had salt continually rubbed into her wounds, had needed someone's compassion. You can't end someone's hatred with hatred. You need that compassion, and it's true. Everything Angie is saying is true. No matter how despicable Eva was, still, she deserved some sort of compassion. And still, to this day, I mean, I don't know what happened with Eva. I don't know the true story behind, but looking at her backstory, not just for Eva, for Kraus, for everyone else really, they all suffered and were abused by Kinzo, truly. And that would also explain why they are the way that they are, but also that they very much need all the help that they can get, and it's just a pity that they never had it. In order to let her forget her pain and sorrow for at least a moment, the Black Witch, the very same that possessed Aunt Rosa, taught her magic. It was the same magic of anger and sadness that Beatrice had taught Maria Nechan when she was mourning for Sakutaro after he was torn apart. That same magic, that witch, had surely dwelt inside Aunt Rosa too. So it was wrong to hate Ushiromiya Eva. Perhaps I alone was supposed to have become her ally. I would say that would be very difficult, considering Eva's whole state of mind. Well, I think it's nice that Angie is able to see it in this way. The only person in the world who could understand her. What did I say to her when I was young, when she returned alive all alone? Could it be the way I acted towards her was as if she had come back by herself after killing all my family? I can't believe it. Aunt Eva, who throughout my life has never been more than an object of and synonym for hatred, is turning into a human who I can understand. And so, I looked right next to Aunt Eva, at the form of the Black Witch who taught her the black magic. Oh my fucking god. It's so scary. Aunt Eva was crying. It was only natural. Not only did she have no one who would understand her pain of having lost her husband and son all at once, but even I, her only relative, insulted her, saying, "Give me back my mom and dad." I can make the excuse that it was the mercilessness of youth, but to her at the time, that was probably cruel enough to sever her heart's last thread. In the following days, the talk shows and magazines publicly slandered her. The truth of her late husband's business and character, and even those about her beloved son, were denied. She had no longer anything left. She could do nothing but cry and howl, trying to forget the pain and sadness for just a few moments. Because only while howling could she feel the slightest bit of release. And so the Black Witch taught her how to howl. The one I hated was the Black Witch. The black magic probably did release her from the suffering for just a short time. However, it would never lift that weight from her shoulders. To the contrary, it would force that weight on further victims, filling the world with the hatred, the weight of hatred. If Aunt Eva was to have a true witch nearby, one who knew of white magic... Oh, wait. Oh my god, that is so scary. I'm getting chills. I'm getting scared. Anyway, wasn't that supposed to be me? What does that mean? I had learned the magic to create happiness from Maria Nechan. If I could have saved her with that magic, Might we not have built up a future with a completely different relationship? All this time, I have hated Aunt Eva. So I never noticed the Black Witch beside her. Without love, it couldn't be seen. Without love, Angie couldn't empathize with Aunt Eva. I didn't have any love for her. So now finally, I'll glare at the Black Witch, the one I truly should hate.
あら？何？私のことが見えるの？
見えるわ。私が憎むべきはエヴァおばさんじゃなかった。あんたよ。
すごいじゃない。人間の分際で魔女の私が見えるなんてね。それで、その目つきは何だと言いたいわけ？私が憎い？
憎い？ええ、憎いわ。でも、少し違う。ただ、悲しく思える。
悲しい？何言ってんの？いいじゃない、怒れば。思いっきり憎んじゃえば？
憎まないわ。あんたを憎むことは、エヴァおばさんの憎しみを、そのまま受け継ぐだけ。私は、憎しみを断ち切る。エヴァおばさんの苦しみを受け止め、それを、払って、捨てるの。
何悟ったようなこと言ってるわけ？こいつ、頭大丈夫？っていうか、へそでも噛んで死んじゃえば？あんたら、もっともっと蹴ってやりなさい。顔とかはダメよ。気の毒な顔がマシになっちゃったらつまんないから。
The black suits persistently kicked my stomach and back, as though they had been ordered to by the witch.
やれやれ。答えないね。私をじーっと見ちゃって。私が憎い。憎いでしょ？私もよ。
Sumi sneered at me, but for some reason, I had the feeling that she was crying behind that expression. She's had a life just as unfair as mine forced upon her. The pain of that never, ever heals. The sad lion continues to howl, gasping in pain from the thorn he can't get out.
ほら、スマデラかすみ、見てごらんなさい。かつてのあんたがそこにいるわ。気分が晴れるでしょう。かつてそこにいたあなたが、今度はこっち側にいるのよ。愉快でしょう。立場が逆になるのは。
本当に愉快。なんでそんな顔ができるのよ。泣きなさいよ。
そうそう、泣きたいに決まってる。泣かせちゃいなさいって。あの時のあんたは泣かされちゃったじゃない。だからこいつも泣かせてやりなさいよ。エンジェもいいのよ。泣いちゃえば。
And the cycle continues.
泣きなさいよ、エンジェ。あんたの泣き顔が見たいのよ。泣いて、ごめんなさい、かすみおばさんって言ってごらんなさいよ。
そう、その言葉を言わせるのよ。あの言葉、辛いでしょ？自分のせいじゃないことを謝らせられるのって本当に辛かったでしょ？
So then why do you force it on someone else?
同じ思いをさせてやるのよ。そうすることであなたの痛みは和らげることができるの。そうよ、それでいいのよ。もっと自分に素直になりなさい。もっともっといっぱいに自分の感情を吐き出しちゃえば。
The Black Witch stirred Kasumi up, and Kasumi began to give herself over to that dark emotion. She was doing nothing more than turning her deep sadness into cheap booze and forcing it down. Trying to forget for just a brief moment, the words Kasumi insulted me with were themselves sad, and I couldn't forgive the Black Witch for taking advantage of Kasumi's sadness. I had gone limp on the ground, which seemed to have sapped the black suits of their enthusiasm for kicking. Or maybe the kickers had finally gotten tired too. Kasumi hadn't ordered them to stop, but at some point, the violence had halted. However, I was reflected in Kasumi's eyes, and they were burning me with flames of hatred. She had been tempted by the witch into doing that in order to relieve her own pain.
スマデラかすみ、まだよ。まだまだ踏みにじりなさい。あなたの人生はこんなほんのちょっとの乱暴で許せるの？
許せないわよ。まだこれくらいでは許せないんだから。
でしょ？許せるわけがない。もっとよ。もっと憎悪の炎を。憎しみの炎でしかあなたは暖を取れないの。怒りと悲しみの雪原で凍えるあなたを温められる炎は憎しみだけなのよ。ほら言って。叫んで。憎しみの方向で自分を燃やし尽くしちゃえば。
後ろ宮エンジー！あんたを憎まなくちゃ私は生きてられないの。
スマデラかすみ、あの花束を。これ、死んだ家族への花でしょ？
The Black Witch grinned at me unpleasantly and used her chin to signal Kasumi to pick them up. Kasumi picked up the flowers I was going to offer, brought them all the way over to me, dropped them in front of me, and made a show of trampling them. Her expression was filled with hatred, and a frantic quality that simple hatred couldn't explain. It was as if trampling them over and over again was the only way to prevent the sadness inside her from reaching the bursting point. So the sound of her trampling was downright sad.
あら、この程度じゃ答えない？ならこっちは答えるかしら。スマデラかすみ、こっちを使いなさい。ダメ。それは。
The Grimoire? Oh no. The object the Black Witch pointed at was Maria Onechan's grimoire. Kasumi also noticed it and picked up that book, which was heavier than it looked.
なにこれ？
読んじゃえば。お腹がよじれちゃうかもね。
Kasumi opened the grimoire, skimmed over the contents, and snorted derisively.
返して。それはお姉ちゃんの。
Of course, my hand couldn't reach. My stomach was once again kicked by the black suits, and I curled up on the ground.
ほらね、この本は演者にとっての大切なものでしょ？大切なものをけなしてやりなさい。こういう子には殴る蹴るよりもそっちの方が効くんだから。あなたがそれを一番よく知っているでしょ？
Kasumi's face twisted for an instant, as though remembering something painful. But that quickly disappeared, changing into a scornful smile directed towards me.
なにこの気持ち悪い本。あんたが書いたの？
やめて。返して。見てよ、あの顔。もっとけなしてやりなさい。貶としめてやりなさい。尊厳を踏みにじられる苦痛を教えてやるのよ。そうすることでしかあなたの苦痛は和らがないの。
何これ、恥ずかしい本。少女の時代に多少は占いの真似事に興味を持つこともあるけれど、 これはちょっと行き過ぎじゃない？やだ、魔法だって。あんた、あれでしょ。アニメとかの、なんとかなんとかって呪文を言いながら魔女に変身するやつ。ああいうの好きなんでしょ。痛々しいわ。
Cackling, Kasumi opened her random page and showed it to the black suits. The black suits, too, looked and guffawed. The laughter wouldn't win me, but I couldn't forgive it. After all, that laughter was ridiculing Maria Onechan. I don't hate Kasumi for exploiting Kasumi's unhealing anger and sadness. I cannot forgive the Black Witch. That Black Witch ate into Aunt Eva, Sumadera, Kasumi, and Aunt Rosa, tormenting them for an eternity without letting their wounds be healed. I think this Black Witch is not necessarily Evatrice, but something else, right? I can't forgive her. I can't forgive the Black Witch.
何これ、傑作。お空から飴玉を降らせる魔法ですって。何々？お日様で清めたお水にお砂糖を溶いて、魔法の杖を浸して呪文を。痛い。
The black suits also rolled around, guffawing. I think the only reason why they can laugh so, meanly from the so-called bottom of their hearts is because they were denied such pleasures as they were young. They weren't allowed to express these kinds of emotions when they were young. And that's why everything comes out on the other end now with this laugh. It's a mocking one, but it's one that comes out because they weren't allowed to. Maria is fine and secure with herself because she was allowed that much. But for Kasumi, for the black suits, for everyone else, they were denied and made to feel as if they were inferior for wanting to like these things. And so they act this way towards Maria's grimoire. Then, grinning, the Black Witch whispered something to Kasumi's ear. Then after glaring at me with a grin, Kasumi took that page Kasumi grabbed a hold of the page, tore it out, crumpled it, and threw it away.
ひどいよ。それはマリアの魔法。あら、そうなの？それはお気の毒。
It was one of the magics to summon happiness that Maria had made with Sakutaro. Anyone knows that by making sugar water, coloring it with paint, and leaving it by the window isn't gonna make candy rain from the sky. But after repeating that every day, one time when she got back from school, she found several pieces of candy scattered around that place. How happy must that miracle have made Maria Nechan? What good care she must have taken of those candies, savoring them during her nights all alone with Sakutaro to distract herself from loneliness. That night, that magic which Onechan had created, was torn out, thrown away, and disappeared. The entire miracle of happiness created by that magic, she tore out and threw away.
これも傑作だわ。晩ご飯をクリームコロッケにする魔法。次は何？ピーマンが美味しく食べられる魔法。これも生かすわ。バカバカしい。それも破いちゃいな。どんどん破いちゃえば。
With a cruel-hearted loud laugh, the Black Witch made her tear out Maria Nechan's magics one after another. She sneered at those happy magics, ripped them out, and threw them away.
やめろ！ リア教の魔法を怪我すな。汚い毒素で怪我すんじゃない。
Mammon cried and yelled, but she had no way of reaching Kasumi.
いいじゃない、怪我されちゃえば。魔法の奇跡、幸せにする魔法。ないない、そんなのないってば。痛みと苦しみはね、他人に押し付けてしか癒せないのよ。あんたは確か魔法のお友達とかいうやつだったわよね。スマデラかすみ、こいつのページを開きなさい。
これは何？魔法のお友達ですって？煉獄の七姉妹？
Ah, I see.
物騒な名前。すごい速さで飛んで敵をやっつけてくれるんですって。
But actually, from this magic friends part, it seems like Maria's state of mind had already changed, since they can kill people.
エンジェ、あなたこんな魔法が使えるなら今すぐ使った方がいいんじゃない？くだらない。
The pages that wrote of the seven sisters of purgatory were also heartlessly torn away. The pages themselves were just paper. They weren't Mammon's vessel or anything. But the tearing, denying toxin burned Mammon from the inside. Mammon's face twisted from the heat and pain.
大丈夫、マモン、しっかり。これくらい平気。私よりエンジェ様の方が。
However, Mammon's expression was twisted in unbearable pain and humiliation.
やめろ、黒き魔女。どうして君はそんなことをするんだよ。どうして魔法を幸せのために使えないんだよ。ああ、あんたも魔法のお友達ね。あんたも怪我してあげるわ。スマデラかすみ、こいつのページも探しなさい。
こっちは何？この下手くそなライオンの落書き。作太郎？変な名前。一番大好きなお友達だって。そうなの？これがあんたの友達？親友？このライオンが？ねえねえ。本当に下手くそな落書き。こんなブサイクなライオンがあんたなのね。こんなのお友達にしてるなんて、後ろ宮マリアってこの頭のかわいそうさに呆れてへそでお茶が湧いちゃうわ。神だ、へそ噛んで死んじゃえば。ウリュ、マリアをバカにするな。やめて、破かないで。ダメ。
There was a shrill tearing sound, and the page was filthily ripped out. A picture of Sakutaro that Onechan had drawn was violently ripped in half. Those memories, all gone? Obeying the pair, the black suits laughed crudely and heartlessly trampled all over the paper that had been torn and thrown away.
サクタラ、しっかり。僕は悲しくなんかないよ。ただ悔しい。マリアのことをバカにされて何も言えない自分が。私たちは見えない人間にはいないも同然。 私たちは必要としてくれる人間としか。だから家具
Furniture exists to serve your masters? I don't really understand so. Isaktar and Mammon supported each other. They slumped down, sobbing. I couldn't stand it either. Only those who can see the world of magic can understand how wonderful it is. It can't be explained to humans who can't understand. And so it is mocked. If only you could show it. But you can't. Because, in front of humans who are filled with the anti-magic toxin, who can't understand magic, magic cannot be used.
本当にわけがわかんないわ。この妄想日記、頭がおかしいとしか思えない。あんたのお花畑の頭の中が垣間見えて本当に面白いわ。気持ち悪い子。
あんたもマリアも、そこのぬいぐるみと家具もね。
おかしいわ。あんた友達いないんでしょ。
Well, so do you, Kasumi. You have no friends too.
いっつも一人ぼっちでぬいぐるみがお友達なんでしょ。かわいそうな子。大丈夫。私にもわかるわよ。そういう生活。わかるもん。だから私が認めてあげるわ。あんた本当にかわいそうな子よ。
Though, to you, she looks like a pitiful child. Yep, I'm sure it does. If 100 people were to read a nation's diary in Grimoire, all 100 would probably get the same impression. I used to be one of them. But you know, in spite of all that, Maria Onechan still called this a world of happiness. Don't deny that magic, that happiness.
頑固な子ね、あんたは。いいわ。これで最後よ。あんたとマリアの信じた本当にくだらない魔法の根源を引き裂いてあげるわよ。スマデラかすみ、そのページを読みなさい。
なーに？このカラフルなページは。なになに？大好きなママといつまでも仲良しでいられる魔法。
やめて！そのページだけは！
へえ、この魔法すんごく簡単じゃない？私でもすぐできそうだわ。
I wonder what it could be.
こんなに短い呪文なら私にだって覚えられちゃう。やってみようかしら。
本当に簡単な呪文よね。いいわよ。やってあげなさい。みんなも吹き出しちゃうから。
With expressions that ridiculed it from the bottoms of their heart, the Black Witch and Kasumi puckered their lips in the most exaggerated way they could, and said it aloud. Ah! Oh my god, I just got chills. So that's what it was all about, huh? I wonder what Uryu could be then, but Maria did say it was probably from like a anime at the time. But now this is what it's about, huh? The black suit stared blankly, asking what that was supposed to be. Then Kasumi answered, cackling.
これがね、呪文なんだって。おかしい。
Man, what chills, just chills running down my spine right now. I mean, in the best possible way, I guess.
ほら、あんたたちもやってみれば。
And when Rosa says it back to Maria, I wonder how happy Maria must have felt. The black suits imitated that moaning voice, making fun of it. Ooh. That was the incantation for the magic that will let her always be friends with the mama she loved.
何このバカみたいなの。言うだけで 家族仲が良くなるなら世界はずっと平和だわ。
But the Maria that's trying is already leagues better than this Kasumi who just lived with it.
バカなうなり声。こんなの連呼してたら頭のかわいそうなこと思われるのがオチよ。バカじゃない。やめろ。その魔法だけはけなさないで。
One day, when Maria, Onechan, and Aunt Rosa had gone on a picnic together, it was written that this was one of the 5 happiest days of her life, and Onechan was singing her mama a song that she had learned from her. Onechan was happy to see that her mama was enjoying it very much, but partway through she forgot the lyrics. But her mama was enjoying it so much, so she tried to sing until the very end, with ooh, ooh, ow. She sung it with fake lyrics, but her mama was very pleased. After that, ooh remained as an incantation to remember that day she had spent in fun and happiness with her mama. Of course, even though Aunt Rosa thought it was funny at first, eventually she tired of hearing it, and later on started to scold Onechan whenever she said it. But to Onechan, it was a memory of a fun day that she could never forget. So among the magics that Maria created, it was the oldest and the first. Kasumi stuck her fingernails into that page too.
やめて。破かないで。そのページだけは許して。ダメ。
With a shrill sound, a girl's world of happiness was erased.
これがあんたらの幸せな魔法なわけ。笑っちゃう。幸せになる魔法なんてね、あるわけないでしょ。
But it does.
魔法はね、怒りとね、憎しみでできてるのよ。幸せってのはね、自分の背負わされた憎悪を人に全て押し付けた時にのみ与えられる解放感を言うのよ。あんたたちの言う幸せなんて絵本の中にしか出てこないまやかしなのよ。
As Kasumi laughed her head off, she slammed the grimoire against the ground and stepped on it.
悔しい？ねえ、悔しい？幸せの白き魔女さんたち、そんなに悔しかったら見せてみれば？あんたたちの魔法あるなら使ってみせればいいじゃない。魔法が使えない魔女なんて魔女じゃない。つまり本当の魔女は私たち。あんたたちなんて魔法の夢で現実から逃避しているだけのクソガキどもなのよ。
じゃあ、魔法を私が見せることができたなら、お姉ちゃんの魔法を信じてくれるの？
I wonder what Enji's trying to do.
信じるわよ。魔法を使って見せることができたならね。ならやってみろよ、このクソボケガキ。
Silently, slowly, I stood up. The sensations of this small world, such as the pain in my body, felt truly insignificant.
あら、まだ立てる元気はあったのね、大魔女さん。
立ち上がって何をしてみせるの？見せてみなさいよ、魔法。
魔法はあるわ。
はあ？この子何を言い出すかと思えば、あんたたち今の聞いた？
静かに。へえ、面白いじゃない。半魔法の毒素を理由にあんたたちはいつも奇跡の力を拒んできた。
Power of miracles.
白き魔女マリアの弟子。見せてみなさいよ、魔法。一体どれだけの人間が
その奇跡を信じて裏切られていったか知っている？誰もが信じ、誰もが裏切られて絶望した。そして本当の魔法は私たち黒き魔女の力でしか得られないことを知るのよ。
憎しみを誰かにぶつけるのはただの罪。そんなのは魔法じゃないわ。本当の魔法を私が見せてやる。
こいつ。
Black Witch winced slightly. However, Kasumi sneered at me even more.
なら見せてごらんなさいよ。それであんたはどの魔法を見せてくれるの？飴玉を降らせる魔法？それともクッキーを増やす魔法？
Well, I'm convinced that Kasumi and Evatrice can't really see each other. Oh, well, Evatrice can, but Kasumi's not actually seeing or hearing Evatrice. The instant I opened my eyes, a tremendous wind arose.
何？突然。
さあさあ、おいでなさい。
There was a flash behind me, and in an instant, 7 high-level furniture were gathered there. It was a power that far surpassed the magical power I've had in my prime. It was a power that matched even Maria, One-chan, and Beatrice.
煉獄の七姉妹、ここに。
エンジ様。
あなたはかつて言ったわ。私に魔力とその覚悟がないからあなたたちを刺激できなかったのだと。私をいじめるクラスメートに仕返しがしたいなんて、そんな安っぽい感情じゃない。私はマリアお姉ちゃんのマリアージュ・ソルシエールの世界を守るために、今こそ魔法の奇跡を見せることを命令するわ。
無理です。いくらなんでもこれだけ大勢の毒素の前では。
The 7 sisters also remembered what had once happened in that classroom. If they could have obeyed Enji's order, they would have. However, surrounded by the toxin that runs thick in humans, they hadn't been able to display the miracle of magic. And they remembered very well how deeply that had hurt Enji. But Enji spoke very quietly.
なら、あなたたちも信じて。マリアージュ・ソルシエールは人を幸せにするために生まれた。そしてそれは黒き魔女と戦うためでもあった。その創立者の一人、原初の魔女マリア教が生み出した世界を否定する愚かなる黒き魔女に、その奇跡を見せ、その世界を守るために信じて、魔法を、魔女を、今こそ奇跡を。
Kasumi gave an order to the black suits, and one of them took out a gun and pointed it at Enji.
魔法を見せてくれるんでしょ？なら見せてちょうだい。魔法で火の玉でも稲妻でも打ち出してこの男を倒してみせなさいよ。
I would guess something like the gun misfires or doesn't work. What happened?
チャンスは一度。3つ数えるうちにやってお見せなさい。できなければ覚悟してもらうわよ。
撃ちなさいよ。
なんだこのガキ。イカれてやがるぜ。
The black suit pointing the gun laughed at Enji's composure.
本気？こいつ頭の中までお花が咲いてやがる。なら撃たれなさいよ。死んじゃえば。
エンジ無理。中断は魔法では防げないよ。
いいえ、何も恐れることはないわ。私の魔法は、煉獄の七姉妹は銃弾などものともしない。
エンジ様。
Memon was flustered by Enji's absolute trust. She would have loved to live up to that trust if only she could. On that day as well. But she had been unable to do anything and she had hurt Enji.
ガキめ、魔法が使えるってんなら早く見せてみやがるってんだ。どうしたよ、 早く魔法を見せてみろってんだ。ほら、遠慮はいらねえぜ。俺にパピョーンと。
What? Shazao? What's that?
魔法ってやつをお見舞いしてくれよ。
The black suits jeered at her, but Angie simply concentrated her mind in silence.
撃っちゃえば？撃ってみろって言ってるのよ、向こうは。
この子恐怖でもう頭がどうかしてるんだわ。バイバイエンジェちゃん。天国で好きなだけ魔女ごっこをしてなさい。撃て。
いいんですか？
おうち死ね。エンジェ、やれるもんならやってみなさいよ。
The black suit cocked the gun and sneering, he pulled the trigger. I have no doubt in my mind that Angie is not gonna die. A gunshot rang out and the world stopped. A red spray scattered and chunks of flesh flew.
何をしてるのマモン。銃弾ごとき無粋な石ころをエンジェ様に許すつもり？
Lucifer had lined up the bullet perfectly, and with a single swing had sliced it in two, but flesh scattered, right? And in the chest of the black suit who had apparently fired the gun, there was a hole as big as a fist. Now see? I knew this would happen.
たまには私が一番乗りでもいいわよね。
Half of Leviathan's body was covered with blood, and she wore a cold smile. Then slowly, the pitiful prey that she had brought down fell over.
貫いた。
I think it was from the gun. To be honest, interestingly, I have heard of a magic spell that could do that. Interestingly, to misfire a gun or something.
バカね。まだあんた信じてないの？私たちの主の魔力。
これだけの人間の前で権限したっていうの？
It's the magic of miracle.
何よ。何？
Kasumi and the rest were thrown into confusion. He certainly seemed to have fired a gun. However, it hadn't hit Enji. And why was the person who fired instead?
これが魔法。見事よ、レビアタン。
光栄の至り。我らが主に逆らう愚かなる人間どもよ。今こそ冷やせ審判の時。
どうして人間の世界に魔法は持ち込めないはずなのに、魔法は見えないはずなのに、触れられないはずなのに、どうして？
これが本当の魔法だからよ。
I wonder if the magic that Beatrice shows is from hatred and anger. And that's why Rokkenjima needed to be at the border of magic and reality in order for more magic stuff to manifest. And how about Kinzo's magic too?
何をしてるのよお前たち。殺せ。
One of the black suits who had finally come to his senses pulled his gun, aimed.
我らが主に銃口を覗かせる無礼を死ね。
Those words were his funeral. The man had already been struck through the chest by Lucifer, who had become the stick of pride in an instant. Thump! The sound of the second person falling brought it home to the black suits that their lives were unmistakably in peril. Once could be a miracle, but twice? Seems like something's going on. Were the guns tempered with? Almost paralyzed with fright, the man turned on his heels in an attempt to escape from that place. And in an instant, the stick of sloth.
我が主への狼藉に対する報い。死ね
A hole as big as a walnut opened in his right eye and his head split. Belphegor was sprayed with blood, and her face twisted demonically with the joy of being able to use her full power. The black suits panicked, pointing their guns in every direction, but they didn't understand what was happening. They only knew that something terrifying was coming for them from somewhere, but they didn't know where.
敵はあんたたちのすぐ目の前にいるわよ。魔女の家具があんたたちを狙ってる。
But they could not see. Because they couldn't believe in magic, they could not see. Just as the Black Witch said, Satan was standing boldly right in front of the black suit. However, the black suit couldn't see that at all.
人間に私たちの姿が見えるとでも捉えられるとでも間抜けな人間が魔法に対する畏怖を忘れたる愚かの代償を払うがいい。
何よこれ、何が起こってるの。
あなたには見えない愛がないから。
ありえない。これだけの人間がいて半魔法の毒素をばらまいてるってのに、どうして魔法が権限できるの。
So many humans here, anti-magic toxins strong. I might be leaning in the wrong direction, but I want to say this anyway, that it feels like if your magic came from hatred and anger, and there's too many humans, you can't commit a crime that you want to commit. But if there's only one human, you can easily stab them and kill them. Maybe that's what it is. But since Anji's magic isn't coming from that anger and hatred, it's coming from love and happiness. It's something else entirely, and that's why the number of humans and the anti-magic toxin doesn't affect her, because she can freely show that magic in front of them.
あんた、何者なの。
魔女よ、あんたと違って本物の。
As though announcing his candidacy for the fourth victim, one of the black suits pointed his gun at Enji and pulled the... Enji glared at him coldly and simply ordered.
死にさらせ。
次、サタン。
踏んでるサタン、すでにここに。
Well, but those people are dying, so I'm not sure.
ならばが今のエンジェ様と私たちに銃弾ごときが当たると思うか。
Stick of Wrath pierced and smashed the bullet fired by the black suit and continued straight on towards the man's face.
己が愚かすのし、地獄で後悔せよ。死ね。
With a terrible explosive sound, the upper half of the man's head was smashed. Bathed in scattered flesh and blood, Angie quietly asked one more time.
ねえ、かすみおばさん、まだ魔法信じる気にならないの？
こんなバカなことあるわけないでしょ。認めないわ。魔法なんてあるわけがない。
そうよ。魔法なんてあるわけがない。魔女なんているわけがない。魔法はあるよ。魔女はいるよ。うりゃー。そうよ。魔法はあるのよ。
Oh, Memon and Sakutara are here now.
魔女はいるのよ。そしてこの怒りと悲しみで満ちた世界に幸せの世界への扉を開く鍵にできるの。あんたなんかにそれを否定させない。幸せな世界への鍵はみんなの手に握られてるんだ。それを奪う資格は誰にもないんだ。
それを理解できぬ哀れな人間よ。そなたの人生に魔法の力があったならもっと違った。そなたがその生涯において本当の魔女と出会えなかったことを私は哀れむ。
Kasumi let out a piercing scream. At the same time, the two remaining black suits came for me at once and thrusted their guns against my head, like they were trying to use me as a hostage against something their eyes couldn't see. Against the seven sisters of Purgatory, high-level furniture who had now reached the level of weapons, this was completely and totally pointless.
畜生、どこにやがるんだ。攻撃をやめねえとこの天の命はねえぞ。姿を現しやがれ。
何言ってんのこいつ。美味しそうな腹渡をしてるくせに。園児様、次は私にお任せを。
許す。
ありがたき幸せ。死ね
The man's chest split and his guts poured out. This terrible way of dying threw the other man into a total panic. However, Asmodeus' form was already at his back, embracing his neck with her arm and smiling obscenely.
かわいい子。ねえねえ、どこを貫いてほしい？園児様、ご希望はございますか？
頭。
かしこまりました。死ね！
The final black suit has his head smashed by the stick of lust, and as his insides scattered, he twisted and fell. In that gruesome world where 6 people lay in a sea of blood, witch and human confronted each other.
スマデラかすみ、そなたの哀れなる人生に、私、その埋めえぬ心の穴を塞げる魔法を授けてもよい。そなたがその魔法を信じるならば。
バカなこと言わない。こんなの私は認めない。
As Kasumi slowly retreated backwards, scared out of her wits, she picked up a handgun that someone had dropped. Then shaking, she pointed it at Enji.
そうよ、かすみ、その銃で撃ちなさい。あんたの憎しみを銃弾に変えて放ちなさい。殺してやる。殺してやる。あんたを殺さなきゃ私の人生は報われないのよ。そうよ、殺して引き金をあいつにあんたのみすぼらしい今日までの全ての怒りを、悲しみを全部叩きつけてやるの。そうでなきゃあんたは痛みと苦しみから解放されないのよ。
やめて、かすみおばさん。黒き魔女に耳を貸しては。
殺してやる。殺してやる。あんたの母親のせいで私の人生はめちゃくちゃ。
なら、私の魔法でその人生をこれから少しずつ明るく穏やかなものにもできるかもしれない。あなたが魔法を信じ心を入れ替えさえすれば、あなたに新しい世界への扉を開いてあげられるの。
そんなものはないわ。あいつの言う救いなんてどうせおとぎ話の中だけよ。あんたの人生はもはや死ぬまでトゲまみれ。その苦痛の叫びをあいつに聞かせてやりなさい。失ったものは何も取り返せないのよ。そうでしょ、スマデラかすみ。
そうね、何も取り返せないかもしれない。でもきっと新しく何かを生み出すことができる。だからかすみおばさん、その銃を捨ててかすみおばさんにも幸せな世界を教えてあげられるかもしれない。
私はね、あんたの母親が逃げたせいで、あんたの母親のいい名付けと身代わりに結婚させられたのよ。将来を誓い合った男がいたのよ。別れさせられたのよ。あんたの母親の代わりと継がされて、話もろくにしたことがない男とちぎりを交わさせられた私の気持ちが分かるっての。殺してやりたかった。なのに姉さんは勝手に死んだ。だからあんたを殺すの。そうでなきゃ私のトゲまみれの人生は終わらないのよ。
I feel like truly it's here where we see the two opposing ways that people can live your life. Like Enji, you could live your life with hope and happiness, or you could be like Kasumi here, who has succumbed to the anger, to the hatred, and dedicate her entire life to making someone else's life more miserable than hers. There's, of course, not just two ways of living life, but here we get to see the two, I guess, extreme ends of it, in a way. From Kasumi's eyes, frenzied tears dripped down. This poor woman, even she had such clear and beautiful tears. But for that very reason, she hadn't been able to withstand her sad pain, and had no choice but to listen to the Black Witch's temptation.
かわいそうに。ならばせめてあなたを。あなたの魂を永遠に解放し、それが今の私にできる。
死ねー！後ろ宮エンジェー！
さようなら、かすみおばさん。静かな世界でゆっくりと休んで。
I no longer feel any hatred or anger towards you. I just want to let your soul rest in peace. Kasumi's handgun spat fire. Slowly, that bullet continued through a world frozen to the utmost limit, making its way towards Enji's forehead.
マモン、
強欲のマモン、ここに。
ありがとう。あなたたちと作太郎に出会えたから、私は全てを理解できた。
エンジェ。
作太郎は後ろを向いていなさい。マモン、その女を解放してあげて、そしてマリアージュ・ソルシエルの名誉を守れ。
はい、覚悟せよスマデラカスミ。
Even though the world was frozen, the stick of greed flashed like lightning and was already through Kasumi and out the other side.
貴様に多少の得があるならば、再び煉獄の山で相まみえようぞ。死ねー！
The gun, it's a gun, it's a gun! The upper half of Sumadera Kasumi's head shattered. Her cage of flesh was broken, and she was finally released. The same words used to describe Beatrice's release. What is that sound? That metal sound? I've heard that before.
あとはあんたね、黒き魔女。今となってはあなたにエヴァおばさんの面影を見ていることさえ彼女に申し訳なく思うわ。
私の姿が未だに後ろ宮エヴァに見えているなら、それはあんたの中で未だに私が許せてないということだわ。
What? What does that mean?
わかっているのよ、エンジェ。あんただってトゲまみれの人生から解放されたくて仕方がないの。なら、面白いことを思いついたわ。私もあんたに魔法を見せてあげる。あんたを殺すのは私じゃないわ。
With a worst smile on her face, the Black Witch changed her form into something like that of a black mist, or else a vast swarm of black flying insects, which began to swirl around me. Oh, gross. Then the black mist began to amass bit by bit, shaping itself into the form of a human.
何の真似？
うすうすは想像がついてるくせに、あんたが最も憎み恨んだあの女よ。そして女もあなたを最も恨み憎んだ。
Who? No way, not Asumu, right? No way. Eva. Oh, okay, that makes sense. When the black mist cleared, over there was Aunt Eva's form, as she had been while alive. In her hands, she was holding a gun.
エヴァおばさんは
お久しぶりね、エンジェ。あんたを殺すために地獄から戻ってきたわよ。
What kind of CGI is this? What? Aunt Eva glared at me, laughing madly.
でもあまり驚かないわ。エヴァおばさん、そういう人だったし。
Like she's pretending to have died?
私のお葬式はさぞや気分が晴れ晴れしたでしょ。
So Eva is indeed not dead?
私も晴れ晴れしていたわよ。 あんたの面を二度と見なくて済むようになるんだからね。でもたった一つだけ心残りがあったわ。それがこれよ。
私を殺すこと、それが最後の遺言だったの。
How pitiful. Even after death, Aunt wasn't released from her suffering.
黒き魔女の力こそが私の魔法の源泉だったわ。怒りと憎しみが私に努力と不屈を教えてくれた。それはあんたの言う現実逃避の魔法とは全く違うの。
あんたの言う魔法なんてただの八つ当たりによるストレス解消だわ。私たちの魔法は違う。世界そのものを作り変えるの。あんたの性悪魔法とは全く格が違う。
なら黒と白のどちらが勝つかこの場で決着をつけてあげる。死してなお黒き魔法で復活してあんたをこうして重厚で狙える私の奇跡に、あんたの白き魔法はどんな奇跡で対抗を？
I can't tell. Is Eva really dead? Or is she pretending to be dead? Or just whose body double is this?
半魔法の毒素であなたを取り込んだわ。七姉妹はもう二度と呼べないわよ。さっきの奇跡はもう起こらない。
それでも起こるから魔法って言うんだわ。
Magic of miracles.
いいわよマモン、私に力を貸して。
Honestly, I love how fearless Ange is now. It's so badass of her. But Memon didn't respond. She didn't appear. Certainly, as she said, the anti-magic toxin had burned everything up like a wasteland parched by a blazing sun. This might be a little tough.
呼びかけても無駄よ。もう二度と煉獄の七姉妹は答えない。
だからそれでも呼べるから魔法なのよね。
哀れねエンジ。さよなら。あんたとのささやかな日々はそこそこに楽しかったわ。これでお別れよ。よかったわね。あんたの終着駅がここで。
ええ、全くよ。気が利くわね。
ありがとう。それじゃ。
No way. Ange is not gonna die. Not here. The barrel of the gun rose slowly so that you could see all the way down it. And the trigger was slowly... No way. Then, there was a loud bang from the gun. Not in the sense that it fired. It exploded. Now, see? This is what I mean. The gun won't fire. It will miss or explode or something. You're kidding me. In shock, inside frozen space, Eva looked at the exploded gun. When time unfroze, the fragments would probably smash into her face all at once. She'll die.
強欲のマモン、ここに。
Behind Eva's back, Memon stood. She had already penetrated the target I had given her, which was the gun.
これで魔法は十分、エヴァおばさん。
She's dead. Then time unfroze. Fragments of the ruptured gun and gunpowder gas burned her face. Letting out a shrill scream, she rolled around covering her face. It was pitiful.
運がなかったわね。これでゲームオーバーよ、エヴァおばさん。
I signaled to Memon to free Eva quickly from her pain as she writhed around her burnt face.
ありがとう、マモン。あの日の教室であなたたちの無力を罵ったことを今こそ心の底より、そしてあなたたちは魔女を守るための優秀な家具だった。
こちらこそ感謝します。良き魔女に、良き主に最後に出会え、家具の本分を尽くせたことを心より光栄に思います。
Memon understood. This would be the final job I would ever give her. Why? Maomon quietly walked close. Then she looked down upon her.
エヴァおばさん、今日まで付き合ってくれてありがとう。これでお別れよ。Have a nice dream. See you hell.
What? Huh? Then light sound of her forehead being perforated rang out. The battle of gunpowder smoke, delirium, and white and black magic was over. It felt like it had been a long, truly long journey, and the world slowly sank into darkness. The stars that should be sparkling lay not in the sky, but were scattered beneath me. When I recognized that the pearls and rubies were creating a river white and red, I realized that it was a vast nighttime scene that was spread out below me. Where are we? I was in the sky of that nighttime scene, neither standing nor flying, but simply floating in the air. From nowhere in particular, I could hear the sound of one person clapping. A truly dull applause. I understood. It was the one who ordered me to go on this journey, Bernkastel.
おめでとう。
Is our journey over?
無限の魔女エンジェ・ベアトリーチェ、あなたは旅路の末に魔法のすべてを理解したわ。
Well, it certainly is true that Enji seems to have come to some sort of conclusion about what magic possibly could be in this span of time that we've been, you know, experiencing episode 4 together. But at the same time, I still can't really understand or grasp everything about magic. Is magic simply miracles? Is it love? What is it?
ええ、私は今や魔法のすべてを理解した。私は魔女よ。マリアージュ・ソルシエルが生み出した魔法世界を継承した。
あなたにしかベアトリーチェの世界を切り裂けない。
魔法を知るからこそそれに抵抗も覚えるわ。魔法は愛と悲しみと怒りでできている。ベアトリーチェがどんなに残酷な魔女であったとしても、その魔法の源泉は全く同じ。だからこそ彼女のその世界を本当はそっとしてあげたい。少なくとも彼女にとってその世界は完成しているのだから。
あなたに家族を諦められるならね。
そう。だから申し訳ないけれど、私は戦わなければならない。家族を取り戻せるかもしれないわずか魔女となる旅に出たのだから。
ベアトリーチェを殺さない限り、あなたには孤独な世界しか存在しない。それは100億のかけらを旅した私が保証するわ。
分かってるわ。同情してる余地なんて。心を鬼にして彼女の心を。
その気持ちが揺るぎないならよかったわ。同じ魔女同士、情が移って志をくじくんじゃないかと心配したわ。
Coming from a person like her, whose face was almost always expressionless, those words felt a little bit hollow. Bernkastel, the enigmatic witch who invited me on this journey.
私、あなたが嘘をついてたんじゃないかと疑ってたことがあったわ。
どうして？
私は1998年のエンジェだから。家族を救ってもそれは1986年のエンジェが救われるだけ。この私が救われるわけじゃない。だから騙されていると思っていたことがあるの。
Isn't that what Lambda was talking about with her?
その通り、私はあなたを騙したわ。
でも今は感謝してる。だってあなたは私に家族の取り戻し方を。
私は何も教えてないわ。それを知ったのだとしたら、それはあなたが魔女として自ら至った境地だわ。それは私のそれとは違う境地。
私に理解はできないけれど、もしもそうならばおめでとう。
私はこのゲームのプレイヤーではなく駒だとあなたは私に言ったわよね。
ええ、言ったわ。
その役割を今こそ完全に理解した。駒に感情はいらない。ただ勝利のために最善を尽くせばいい。
I mean, even if it's true, it feels a little, inhumane. I mean, I don't want Angie to strip herself of her emotions and her humanity just to fight back. But then again, well, it is Angie's goal, I guess.
ええ、その通りよ。ゲームは最善手を差し合うものでしょう。躊躇や戸惑いで指し手をおかしくしてたら対戦相手も混乱するわ。
Sorry, Beatrice, but don't hold it against me. Ushiromiya Angie still needs her family, so I have the right to fight you so that I can take them back. And you have the responsibility to accept my challenge. So please, don't hold it against me. In exchange, if you do win in this game, I'll give you my blessing as well. Now, let's go. As the piece I am, it's finally time for my true turn. Sorry, Beatrice. I can't hand Oni-chan over to you! Oh my goodness. New chapter, right? I guess that means I'm gonna end here for today. Thank you so much for watching. It feels like the last 2 chapters have been quite a whirlwind of information that's just coming one after another, and it feels like things are speeding up a lot after the whole thing with the fight in the mansion. But right now, Angie is really strong. She's come to know what exactly magic is or could be, and she is, I guess, a true witch, if you could say that. I'm still not really sure about it. I have my inklings, but I also still feel like I'm kind of cooking in the wrong kitchen sometimes. But it's fine. I'll just go in, continue believing what I believe in, and hopefully it aligns with what Angie and Maria believes in. Anyway, this was a really wild episode. I don't care much for Kasumi, but at the same time, I can empathize with what seems to be her backstory. Even though she seems to be like a very lazy person, definitely, even though she isn't the best aunt or even person, there's no doubt in my mind that at some point a child in her was crushed and she was made to become the way she is. Like Angie said, or someone else said in today's chapter, people don't hurl insults at other people that they've never heard before, right? That wasn't directed at them. So Kasumi and Eva are the way they are because of what they've been through personally. I truly believe that. I don't think that people are necessarily evil without redemption. Well, I don't know about Kinzo, but I'll be interested to see his backstory. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you have any questions for me to answer, feel free to leave them as well. And anyway, thank you and see you guys next time. I'm gonna check the character menu. Okay, one thing I want to say is, I'm not going crazy, right? There used to be more people on the witch side, right? Like the Seven Sisters, Kinzo. I know Angie said that it will be the last time she calls Mammon, but truly, is every one of them gone now? The magic friends and so on, because Sakutaro is not here either. I don't think anything about their profile actually changed, but the people that used to be here definitely did disappear. For Angie's side, interestingly, Kasumi is still not declared dead, even though I think Kasumi is dead. Eva is definitively declared dead, but then again, I don't know who's creating all these menu and stuff, how factual I can trust them and whatnot, you know? And likewise, on the human side, only George is dead. And even though everyone else is dead, well, I mean, aside from, Kinzo. Well, Kinzo is dead, actually. But it doesn't show up as dead because I guess Battler, our detective, doesn't see them or observe them as dead. But I don't know. Seems like only Ange and Battler really can touch or change the world in some way. Is it just me that feels that way? Anyway, thank you so much. Oh wait, Angie's side, it shows up here. Oh, I'm going crazy. Well, I'm pretty sure there used to be more on the witch's side. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!